The people of Latvia has lived in Latvia for 5,000 years at least. And the period of Latvia's independence has been 22 years before World War II and 22 years after after regaining of independence in 1990. So we look at our historical experience. My name is Andrejs Pildegovics, and I'm the 5th Latvian ambassador in Washington, D.C. since restoration of Latvia's independence 20 years ago. Latvia hasn't been very fortunate in terms of the geographical location. We have always been battlegrounds for European wars. We were one of the major battlegrounds for World War I. We have had enormous casualties during World War II. For historians, this is an unbelievable laboratory for research, but it hasn't been that pleasant experience for the Balts. I have heard, of course, about NATO a lot during my childhood in the 70s and 80s, and that time I was living in a Soviet Latvia, which was on the front line of the great Cold War conflict. Since we have joined NATO, climate in the region has improved dramatically. We used to have rough relations with Russia, with our big neighbor. Since we have joined, relations have improved quite significantly. Our presidents have met a year ago, our ministers are meeting, the trade is rising. NATO has brought this stability, predictability to the Baltic Sea region. I'm from the generation which believes in this project of Europe whole and free and at peace. And we hope that this summit will be another milestone in the evolution of this concept. We have benefited a lot from enlargement. We have gained a lot from membership. We don't want to be selfish. I turned 40 a year ago, and I belong to this generation which spent half of their life in the Cold War. I was a child of the Cold War, and the last 20 years were living in another world. I lived through restoration of the country. I witnessed removal of the foreign troops, and I saw how the country has reclaimed back their place on the world map, how country progressed, telescope development from a captive nation into the full-fledged mainstream European nation. As my grandfather used to say, we've been under foreign domination for 700 years, but our songs remain joyful.